What's up, y'all? You are listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative and Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Sharee. And listen, from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood to the heartwarming power of giving back, our next feature, SHASHANA Kaplan, has always been driven by a passion for positive impact. She has a 36-year career as a union makeup artist, or did. She's worked on iconic sets like Baywatch and Dancing with the Stars. She has even hosted her own radio show, Raw, tackling media portrayals of women. But it was the COVID-19 pandemic that sparked a profound shift for SHASHANA. She and her husband took a leap of faith. Okay, those are the only kinds of leaps that we want to be taking, but we can get into that. Investing their life savings, to create PIFster. It's the Pay It Forward app. I'm not going to say too much about it because I want SHASHANA to actually talk about it, since that's like her passion and her heart. I mean, there's so much I can say, obviously, about this next feature. I am honored and privileged to know her personally, to be able to call her friend. And thank you, SHASHANA, for saying yes to coming on the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to have this time with you. So
well,
good.
You look amazing as always. That shine in your smile, okay, is grabbing me. So let's talk for a second. You had a 36-year career. Okay, you don't even look like your career should have been that long. Okay, Miss Youthfulness over there.
As a makeup artist, remember?
You know what? It helped me out today, I think. How did you get into makeup?
I was always that house as a kid in school where all the kids would come, all the girls, my friends would come to my house and we would do our makeup and we would curl our hair and go to school. It was always my house. I had the cool mom, so I was always doing my friends' makeup, and I just really loved it. And I loved characters. I loved Halloween was always my favorite. I loved characters. And then when I started to learn more about what makeup could do, a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should go meet with this guy. He runs a makeup school." And I did, and he adored me, and we had a relationship really fast. And I started working with him and attended the school, and I just loved it. I loved it. And I started working on TV, and then it just took off from there.
Wow. So you had a cool mom, and she was like, it's okay for all these young ladies to come over and get dolled up. Okay. Was this elementary school? Was this high school? How early was this happening?
This was junior high. This was like ninth grade, I would say, about ninth grade, where we started to like, get lip gloss and, what mascara could do and, curling our hair and just different things like that. It was never overboard. I look back, now and I'm like, oh, we didn't wear that much makeup, but it was more than the moms really wanted us to wear. But
they let you do it.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays you kept it clean. Nowadays, I mean, kids are starting like way younger. I mean, like they're not even in double digits. Okay. And their face is beat.
And they're going straight to red lipstick and blue eyeshadow. And I'm like, whoa, there's stages in between. There are stages. Slow down.
And even like coloring their hair.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe my mom was old school, but I could not color my hair. I couldn't even have bangs. I had to make pretend bangs. Do you remember that? Like basically you brush it forward, you swoop it back, you get some bobby pins so that it lays forward in the front. Yeah. And you're like, I have bangs.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes. Well, I mean, for a child, I would use clip-in hair. I would still keep them young. But when we were young, I don't know, we used Sun-In. Remember Sun-In? Yep, yes. Would you brought your hair up to a nice orange?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just actually put some that conditioner that like it'll wash out, but it has a color. Yes. That's basically what I did here to make this orange. I'm over it though. But we digress. Okay, so you went to school for makeup.
Yes.
And your first job out of school, Was it easy to get that job? It was a paid job, obviously.
It was a paid job. No, my first job was in school, and it was actually on Barney Miller, the TV show. And I was brought in as a under the apprentice program in the union to powder Hal Linden on Barney Miller. And that's all I could do. I couldn't do a full face of makeup. I mean, I was 17, 18 years old, 18 years old. And no one wanted an 18-year-old doing their makeup. I mean, and I get it. Then I was really upset, but now that I'm older, I get it. You know, so I could only powder them to maintain them.
Okay, powder to maintain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
do you remember?
Back then, it was different. You had to keep skin really dry or else it looked glittery on camera. Yes.
I like a little glitteration on
Yeah.
I mean, now they just consider that dewy, right? And you're like going for that.
Well, now the whole medium's different. I mean, now we use video and it's, you know, now dewy is attractive, but men being dewy is not so attractive. And you want to be dewy in the right areas, you know, not in the unflattering areas. So yeah, so my first job was 18 and I powdered people and I loved it. Loved it. It was my calling. I loved it.
Wow. Okay. I love that you found your calling like super early. This is my question. So when you went to school, obviously somebody had to pay for that. Was that you or your parents?
That was my mom. My mom paid for it.
And she was down with it, like paying for you to learn how to do makeup.
Well, I was always messing around. I was always doing wounds. I was always doing characters. I was always doing her face. I remember it was one Saturday and I wanted to play doing makeup and she got all excited and I ended up doing bruises on her and she got really upset because she thought I was going to do glamour makeup. But I did bruises and I was cutting her lip and and she knew it was there. She knew. I mean, and she always wanted me to be an artist, which is why she named me Shoshana. In her mind, she always wanted me to be an artist, so she always nurtured that. I don't think she thought it would come out through makeup, but she couldn't help what was happening, so.
Shoshana, I'm sorry. I think that is so rare. Like, I love it. It's so beautiful that your mom had that vision for you and like nurtured it and went for it, because I don't hear a lot of stories where parents will like financially get behind. Do you know what I mean? They might be like, oh, that's so cute. You have a gift, you have a talent. But it's like, you know, they don't put money into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I had the best mom. She was my best friend. I mean, she was more of a best friend than a great mom. So, but she was, she really stood behind me, and she knew it was my passion. I was doing it every day, every night. I would run over to friends' house before they would go on a date, and I would do their makeup. I mean, it's funny. I say that was my calling, and as I've realized through the years, that really caring for people and making people help them feeling confident, that was really my calling. So had I grown up with a business sense, I might have been a therapist. I might have been a counselor, but my mom was an artist too. So she, put paintbrushes in my hand before I had a calculator, before I had anything, I had paintbrushes in my hand. Yeah.
Okay. So at no point during that 36 years did you ever doubt the calling or the path that you were on? You were pretty confident.
I knew I always loved makeup, but as time went on, the environment I was working in, I began to doubt. The film industry is very toxic, though it's addictive in a weird way, because it's so exciting, but like there's just so much. It's hard. A normal working day is 15 hours. That's a normal working day. A half day is 12 hours. So you work really hard, and actors sometimes are hard to deal with. You're the first person that they see in the morning, and some actors don't like to be vulnerable, and it's, you have to build that relationship up and you have to build the trust up. And sometimes it was more hard than it was other times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did your support come from during that time?
My department, I was always a department head. I was rarely an assistant. So my department always, I had assistants that always supported me. And I knew that the problems in the industry were just the way it was. You don't take it personally. Like when an actor would come in, sit in my chair and pull out their cell phone, I knew it was because they were feeling vulnerable. So you just don't take it personally, and you just do the best job that you can. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, you move on to the next job.
Okay, now let's stay there for a second, okay? Because not taking it personal
Yes.
is something that is not easy for a lot of people to do.
True.
So how in the world were you able to get to the place of just being like, I'm not going to take this personal?
When I would talk to other makeup people, and we've all been fired from a job. We've all been treated badly by the same actor. When I remember calling a friend and said, "Oh, this is the lead in our show," and they said, "Oh, be careful. They're a little unstable." I was like, "Okay, I know that ahead of time." So you just go in and you try not to establish a friendship. You try and just be a good makeup artist. Even though that means, cutting their toenails if they need to be cut, giving them deodorant, bringing them toothbrush and toothpaste. I mean, you're basically, their mother for the show. Which, yes, so it's a fine line to walk, but and it is a battle, but you just do the best that you can, and know that, like, if it works, great, you've established a good relationship, and if not, you just go on to the next job.
So you were fired from a job?
I've been fired by a few jobs, actually. Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about that, because I'm trying to think if I've ever had anybody on that's been fired from a job. I mean, not to put you on blast or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, what was that like the first time you were fired from a job?
Oh, it was heart-wrenching. It was heart-wrenching. The first time I was fired from a job, it was because my grandmother died and I could not focus. And I get it. I didn't get it then. Looking back now, I wasn't present at all. And you have to be, because when you're shooting a film, you don't shoot in order. You don't shoot scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. So you really need to be on your game to know what each day looks like, what the story is, what the character is, what the character's doing. If a character's running down the street, they're going to be sweaty. I just wasn't present. So that was my first firing. I was let go from, I wasn't brought back I was on Dancing with the Stars the first 5 seasons, and I wasn't brought back the 6th season because I was too emotionally invested. I think. I mean, I cared so much. I loved it. And when they would come walking down the stairs, I would just be like gleaming because they were so beautiful. It was so fun. And I knew that we had researched every dance together, and we researched what all the historic significance of each dance, what their hair should look like, what their makeup should look like, because I was the designer of head of hair and makeup. Yeah. And I get it. I was way too invested, and it was hard. But I spent my day, my day was spent, I'd get up in the morning, I'd go to the gym with Cheryl Burke, then I would have lunch with some of the dancers. And so, people felt that I wasn't being unbiased because I had my buddies. Yeah.
Got it.
Yes. And then it was devastating. But now I understand. I mean, I get it, what it looked like from the outside. And that took maturity and God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's kind of a theme. There's kind of a theme between those two firings, because it sounds like both of them had to do somewhat with, like, your emotions, your emotional state.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I want to dig into that only because, one of the things that we go after in terms of, like, with our organization, Creative and Projects, is helping artists become more emotionally resilient.
Yes.
So I don't know, like, what the span of time was between those two firings, but how many years?
30 years. But I mean, I was fired in between those too. I mean, I got into a fight with Josh Brolin on set, and he fired me right there.
On the spot.
Yep.
Woo!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, how did you recover? I mean, like, you're obviously now in a different emotional space
Yes.
than you were in those times. Like,
Yes.
how did you grow in that area? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure, was it intentional or unintentional, or because of the experiences, it kind of forced you to have to grow there?
Well, there's two things there. Being an artist, you are always going to be sensitive to your feelings, to your art, to your craft. I mean, it's hard not to take it personal. It is hard. But I know that I can't quit. This is what I do. This is who I am. This was my identity. So what am I going to do? I can't go home and get into bed and cry forever. I did go home and cry for a couple days after Dancing with the Stars. I did, but I know that's who I am. So I need, I can't quit, and it's how I make my living. So I needed to bounce back. So I think that, and I think if you stop, then your wound gets bigger and it's harder to walk with. So I think that you just
Mm,
need to learn to walk with the wound, because even the wound makes you who you are and makes you a better, more sensitive artist.
so good. I like that. I mean, that was quotable. I can't even regurgitate it back. I'm gonna have to play that back. But that was definitely a nugget, what you said. I mean, you have to learn to walk with it. I
Yes.
was, you know what? I was talking to my husband. In fact, this might have been like a week or so ago. And we were literally talking about wounds. And there was something that we said, something that he said about how, like, your wound can be triggered. And I don't know, he was talking about the triggering of a wound. And I said to him, listen, if you're triggered to the degree where that wound is like oozing and bleeding and like all of that, it didn't heal. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Because there's a difference between like a spot being like a little tender.
Yes.
Like I sliced this hand open, and there'll be some times where I hit it, it's a little tender, but this sucker's not going to open back up and start bleeding all over the place,
Right.
because
Yeah, but
it
that's
has
where
healed.
you have to make the choice to mature there. I mean, and that's God, and that's God helping you, but you have to make the choice to mature. We all have our insecurities, we all have our vulnerabilities, and we all have our triggers, and we all just need to accept them, but not be triggered, like you're saying, by them. You still have to act responsibly, and then go home and
Mm-hmm.
spaz out.
Yeah.
Scream in your pillow, and then and bleed all over the place, do your thing. But like I think when you have to be a functioning adult, then you need to be mature.
Yeah. Choices and God.
Yes.
So have you always had the God factor in your life?
No,
Mm.
no, I have not. I grew up, my mom was a hippie. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a child, I used to ask her, who's God? What is God? How, what, because my friends would say, come to church, come to church. And I would go to church with them, and I just did not get the significance of it. So I would come home and I would ask her questions. And she used to tell me that God is the energy of love. That's all. And I'd be like, I don't understand what that means. And she'd say, see the leaves growing on the tree? See the flowers growing? That's God. And I still didn't get it. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get it. But COVID drove me back to God.
Mm.
COVID drew me to find a church where I could learn more and accept Jesus as my savior and mature in the word.
Mm.
Yes. COVID really was devastating, and it was for everybody, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But my neighborhood really suffered. A lot of the elderly suffered, a lot of the kids, and we're still suffering. I mean, they're still damaged, the kids.
Mm-hmm.
It just really sort of was a different reality. I've never, I mean, in our lifetime in America, we've never been through anything like that.
Yeah. No, we haven't.
No, and like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a people person, and I love hugs and I love affection, and it was a struggle. It was a real struggle. I mean, gosh, I remember I was working on Westworld during COVID, and they had us
Mm-hmm.
in hazmat suits, masks, gloves, a shield, booties, and it was so difficult to create magic when you're wrapped and bound like that. And I mean, and we all, the whole department, you know, we all had issues. It was all just really hard because we were all separated from each other. It was really difficult. And then, you know, after Westworld, I took some time off and COVID was still going, obviously. And that's when PIFster came along. The spark of the idea of PIFster came along.
The spark of the idea. Well, this is a great place to transition, because are you still doing makeup at all, or you have completely switched over to PIFster?
I have completely focused. I'm completely focusing on PIFster. I still have some clients that I love and adore and respect, and I will always be there for them. So if I'm not there for them, I'll always find someone who is there for them that they'll trust. Like I was Debbie Allen's makeup artist for almost 8 years. You know, if she called me, I would be there.
Yeah.
I'd be there in a second flat. You know, as long as it didn't take me away from too much of PIFster. But as I was saying, you know, I was in a hot spot. You know, I live in downtown LA, and we were considered a hot spot for COVID. And we just have a lot of first responders here, and we have a lot of properties that have 3 or 4 houses on them. So they're generational. You know, you have like grandmother living in one house and then all the kids living with their families. So all the families spend a lot of time together. But a lot of the families, the kids weren't going to school. And it was really hard on everybody. And about 3 months into the lockdowns, we saw these small nonprofits coming in, nonprofits I had never heard of, never even knew they existed. And they were bringing kids games, educational games. They were picking up the seniors, taking them out, you know, taking them grocery shopping, just different things. And, you know, my husband and I were talking about it. I had never known of these nonprofits. So we did research, and then we found out that there are 1.8 million nonprofits in America, which is astounding. And I only know of the top 5, Red Cross, UNICEF. You know, those are the only ones that I had ever heard of. And then as I was meeting more and more people, I realized that, you know, my next door neighbor has a nonprofit focusing on dogs. I have another friend who focuses on artists, you know, and caring for them. So it was just really interesting. And we started talking about how we could help them and how we could bring a voice to them. And I had said to Chris, if I had $1 for everybody that cared, we wouldn't have these problems. And he was like, you know, I think we should start there. And that's what we did. So long story short, we developed an app where we crowdsource $1 a month donations. And then we ask our users where they want to pay it forward, because you're in your community and you know what your community needs. You suggest it on the app, and then we vet these suggestions. And every month we have 4 different causes that we vote on. Whoever gets the most votes gets the monthly dollar accumulation. And then we make a video showing your dollar doing exactly what you voted it to do, because transparency is everything these days. And I love it. I love it. We're still new, you know, we're still trying to get dollar donors. It's only going to work if we get dollar donors, and we hope that it works. I mean, I love the idea because you get to decide where it goes instead of somebody else telling you what your money is going to be used for. You know, you make the choice, and it empowers the community as opposed to the nonprofit.
Wow. And it's as little as $1 a month.
Yes. Yeah, because that's all. I mean, if everybody chipped in $1, I mean, in LA, there's 10 million people. If I had 1/10 of that, that's $1 million a month. Can you imagine how many people we could take care of? How many animals, how many small nonprofits we could take care of? And you know that this is what I learned about nonprofits, small nonprofits, is that they're usually started by somebody who suffered a trauma of their own and that vowed that no one else would go through what they went through. You know, and they're amazing people, but they're not business people. They just want to care give. It's hard to run a business, to market, to fundraise, to run a board. And I just want them to focus on what they're good at, and that's caring for others. You know, and money will do that. So if we could raise $1 million a month, if we could raise $10,000 a month, that would be a blessing to so many of these small nonprofits.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you had that spark. I love that you transitioned into like something greater than what you were doing was great, but now it's like even greater because now you're going to have even more of an impact. you
Yeah, I
know?
hope so. I mean, I feel like I was divinely pointed or shoved actually in this direction because little things would happen. Like when we applied for our 501(c)(3) number, someone had
Hmm.
said, be patient. It could take up to six months to a year, little things like that. And I was thinking, oh, government efficiency, here we go. But we got our 501(c)(3) number back in 2 weeks.
That is pretty miraculous.
Two
Mine
weeks.
didn't come that quickly.
So, I mean, immediately I was like, okay, there's a bigger power here. There's a bigger power here. And then suddenly we started to meet people that really needed our help. So with it, like a little boy named Max Dollarhide, this little boy was very gravely ill. We put him on the app and he brought a lot of PIFsters and a lot of awareness to our cause. So we started with a bang. We were raising money right away. We're still kicking money in, 2 years later. We're still costing us money, but we'll get there. We just need more dollar donors.
Okay, so PIFster is 2 years old.
Yes, 18 months.
18 months. That's right. You keep counting the months till what? 24?
Well,
Or
I'll keep
36?
counting the months because we pay it forward every single month. So I know
Aha.
so I know we've done 18 different causes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes. And
that's
there's something
awesome.
for everybody. If you like veterans, if you like artists, if you like, children who want to be artists, if you like children who have, disabilities, if you like animals, if you like seniors, I mean, there's always a variety on the app,
Hmm.
which I love.
Okay.
There are some amazing people. And honestly, I feel like these, like yourself, that run these small nonprofits, they are our community's glue. They know everything that's happening in the community. They want to, move the community forward. They want to help their community. And like, we need those people. We need them. We need you to do what you do. I can't do what you do, but I can give you $1 to do what you do. I could crowdsource dollars. I could spare $1. I mean, we're talking about Starbucks change, people. I mean, it can make a huge impact.
It adds up.
Yes, it does.
It adds up. Wow. Okay.
I know it's a
I'm
lot.
still, it is a lot. I mean, you're doing amazing things, but you always have been.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I've always, yeah, if it was in my power, I always liked to help. Always.
Hmm.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, is being of service to somebody else, isn't it?
Yeah. That is exactly what it's about.
Little
Living a
things like
life of
even,
service.
yeah, opening the door for somebody, smiling,
Hmm.
donating
Hmm.
$1, doing makeup wherever you can. I mean, I would, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Doing it when, how to explain it? Because like you'll smile and sometimes somebody won't smile back, but it's
yes.
okay. You
Yep.
still got to keep smiling and not
Yeah.
let that, can't take it personal, can't let it affect you. You still
Yeah.
have to be who you are. And I feel like life presents us opportunities to like challenge that.
Yes.
Like are you gonna really step up and stay in who you are, or are you gonna bend and break because someone else has come into your space that's
Yes.
challenging who you are?
Yeah. Well, someone once gave me some really good advice, and they said to me, just because someone set something down doesn't mean you need to pick it up. And I was like, oh, wow. And really, that's just about keeping your light glowing, no matter what is around you. It's amazing. Sometimes I walk my dogs down the street and I'm like, I am special. I am talented. And I would feel my shoulders going back and I feel a smile coming to my face. And it's like, even when you talk yourself up, you feel good. You feel
Yeah.
good. And people notice that you feel good. And people say hello, and then you affect them. And it's just the energy is just lifted. So, I mean, I would say to any artist, just keep your light glowing. Just keep
Keep
going.
your light. Yeah. Keep your light glowing and growing.
Yes.
I'm actually still stuck on something that you said that resonated at a deeper level, because when you talked about how you had to go into that particular show during COVID, with like the hazmat suits and like all of those things on. And you talked about, the difficulty with being able to create magic
Yeah.
under such conditions.
Yes.
It just really resonated with me because I feel like, from a spiritual place, or like from a place that invisible place where things are happening underneath the surface,
Yes.
like in your emotions, in your spirit, in your mind. It's like, we can get into places or seasons where we are in bondage. There's
Yes.
something that's like got us like all bound up, and it's preventing us from being able to really be creative and like create the magic. I don't know
Yes.
where I'm going with this. I just know that visually resonated with me, and I'm like, that's exactly what happens to artists, and they're unaware.
Yes.
Sometimes they're unaware. And I don't know if you've ever had a time like that outside of the like COVID, example that you gave, where there was something inside that was like bound, and that was like robbing you of your creativity, and how you came out of that. Have you ever had something like that happen to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with actors that weren't really friendly to me. They were, actually quite ugly people, so you had to keep your distance, but you still had to do your job. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a kind of bondage. Um, and I think you just got to find your self-worth somewhere else than right there. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I can speak, I mean, from COVID and Westworld, that is more recent. So in that instance, I knew, okay, well, it is what it is. This is
Mm-hmm.
not where I'm going to find my self-worth, but I know what this makeup needs to look like. So just keep going, just keep going, and then you
Yeah.
sort of, I think as you go through the day, you find that like, okay, I'm bound, but I'm still doing this. I'm still doing it. And I'm finding my
Yeah.
self-worth from inside as opposed to what I'm doing and what I'm putting out. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think with, working with an actor who isn't exactly friendly, um, you don't evaluate yourself or the work that you're doing on the relationship that you're creating. It has to be somewhere else. It's like, okay, at least I'm still doing it. I'm still here. I'm still, doing this makeup. I'm still doing what I need to do. And that's good. That's worth a lot. That's good. And I'm not affected. They are who they are, and they're going to be what they are. And the situation is what it is, and I can't change it right now, but I can go through it. And I'm going to go through it with doing the best that I can.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there's lessons to learn, because I think um you learn how to be strong when you're weighed down by that bondage. You learn to value the times that you don't have that bondage.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it just makes you stronger, and value what you have inside of you and your own strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is totally going to be a random question.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
But
I'm an open book to
okay,
you, so go.
this is a makeup question, because I feel like within the last 5 years, maybe it's been longer, you would know better than me, but I feel like within the last 5 years, there's been this shift to like, so when I was coming up, you would only wear like certain things, make like with makeup wise, like lashes and like all this stuff. You like only wear that if you were like literally on a stage or
Yes.
performing in front of people. And we've now shifted to where like people are totally in like full on makeup, just like in everyday life. Like, so I
Oh, yeah.
guess my question is, as a makeup artist, like, what do you think about that? How do you feel about, like, do you think that's cool that we've made that shift? Like, do you feel any kind of way about that?
Well, I do. I do. If I see a woman at the gym with a full face of makeup, I know that I feel like she could be insecure.
Mm,
I think when we do our makeup, we have to think about what we want to project out there. Like if I'm going to a job interview, I am not going to wear a bright red lip gloss. I'm just not.
mm-hmm.
I think it's inappropriate. Maybe that's my age. I don't know. Maybe it is, or maybe if I just don't think I just don't think that's appropriate, but you have to think about how you want to be perceived. I'm not going to wear smoky eyes to a job interview. If I'm going out to the club, I'll wear my smoky eye. But I think people are, I think with lash extensions and lip injections and all of these things that are out there now, I think there is, and social media, that people feel like they have to live up to a standard and be pretty all the time. And I can tell you, most men don't like a full face of makeup when they're with their girls. They just don't like it. They don't think it's real.
Yeah.
But I think everyone needs to evaluate their own personal, what they want to look like. But I see it, like I go to friends, my friend teaches strong class, and when I go to her class, so I see people with like full on face makeup at the gym, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm always wiping down the machine after they leave, because the makeup's all over the machine. But so yeah. Lashes I love. I always love lashes, and I think lashes are the fountain of youth, but like lash extensions are they're great, but it's a little overboard. I mean, everyone's got these long lashes.
They're so long, they'll reach up and touch your eyebrows.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, they'll connect with your eyebrow. Yes. 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 And I think, everyone's going to have their own personal preference, but yeah, I think always keeping it natural, because, beauty fades. You can't keep piling on the makeup forever. You don't even need to pile it on, but you're going to have to feel comfortable with who you are someday.
That's good.
Yeah. And makeup is not always going to cover up what you find a flaw. I remember we had this great makeup class in our union. They called us all in, and they put us down in front of these makeup mirrors, the makeup artists. And they said, okay, we're going to do our own makeup today. And all these makeup artists were like, oh, no, we don't want to do our own makeup. We don't want to do our own makeup. No. Because most makeup artists in film, we don't wear makeup because we're at work at 4 a.m, Those are our call times. And so we all had to sit down and do our own makeup, and everybody had a hard time finishing their own makeup. And it really gave us empathy for people and their insecurities, because we just sit down and we're like, okay, we see this, we'll just do this. But like, I'm insecure about my skin. Someone was insecure about their eyes. One was smaller than the other. Someone's brows were different. It was so interesting that we all had a hard time doing makeup on ourselves. I thought it was one of the best classes I ever went to, because it did give us empathy for it. Because, we just start piling on the makeup, or just doing somebody else's makeup without any consideration to what their insecurity may be.
Yeah. So when someone sits down in front of you,
yes,
this is interesting to me, because in hearing you talk, and I feel like I've had another makeup artist on, like in another season, but in hearing you talk right now, it's almost like you see, like you have a certain lens for what you're looking at in terms of a person's face. You're not just like, I don't know, like, tell me more. I'm not going to tell you what I feel like I'm hearing.
But when someone sits down in my chair, my first, it depends what the context is. Where are you going? Are you getting married? Are you going out to the club? Are you a dancer? Are we doing a music video? Do you know what I mean? So first, the context, the most important. And then, so say I'm doing just a clean beauty makeup. I want to bring out somebody's natural beauty. So if someone has freckles, I always have to say to them, because of this class, now I know, do you like your freckles? Or do you want me to cover them up? And most likely, or most often as of lately, or I'd say in the later years, people started to like their freckles, which is great, because I love freckles on someone's face. I love it. But I like a natural beauty. But there's been times where people have asked me to, no, get rid of their freckles. So, you just try and bring out what, You want things to be symmetrical. You want to open people's eyes up. You want to, it's just sort of like a correction beauty makeup. Things you correct. You want to make someone's face symmetrical is where you start. Which is a weird thing to say, huh?
Kinda.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because then, you determine how the eyeshadow is going to be, if it's going to open the eye or if you're going to do a correction on the eye, because one eye could be bigger than the other. Because, everybody has two different, not one side of your body is the same as the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you find that people find when they look at someone's face and what they find beautiful is when a face is symmetrical.
So you're basically finding or seeing the flaws and you're fixing them.
Yes.
You don't have in your mind a picture already of what you want somebody to look like, and then you're just trying to recreate that with that person's face.
Oh no, it's always custom when someone sits down. It's always custom. Unless somebody brings you a picture too. They could bring you a picture and say, I like this eyeshadow, and then you'll customize it to their eye shape. Because again, someone could like a smoky eye and have a hooded what's it called?
That's me.
Yeah, I mean, so you have to change the shape of the shadow, or even an Asian eye is going to be different than how you do someone else's eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always, I mean, for me, that was me as a makeup artist. I would always customize it because you don't want to do the same makeup over and over and over again. Though I've seen people do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you can see, sometimes you'll see at a wedding where the bride and all of the bridesmaids look exactly the same. And you're like, I don't know if I would do that.
Well, they make them wear all the same dresses. I guess they want their face to look the same too.
I mean, it's okay that they all kind of look the same, but the technique of the application has to be different because nobody's face is the same. You're going to overdraw somebody else's lips a different way. You always want to make someone's cheek colors look high, cheekbone look high, or zygomatic arch is the proper name. So that's why I had a hard time thinking of cheekbone. I still think technically it's funny.
Oh my God. I mean, you can't turn it off once you've learned it.
Oh no. Oh no.
Right?
Oh no, I'm still in the makeup stores. Like whenever I go into a makeup store. So a friend of mine last Halloween, we did a fake tattoo on him to fake his wife. And when I went into the makeup store, I heard another woman talking and asking questions, and the person at the counter couldn't answer the questions. So of course I go over there and I feel like, this is what you need to do. This is what the problem is. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? I don't need to do this anymore.
Do you have any favorite makeup stores or no?
I do. I don't like retail. I don't like retail makeup. And this is why.
Okay.
I like professional makeup stores. I like Nigel's. I like Namie's. So makeup is basically a pigment and a vehicle. The vehicle is oil, wax, water, silicone, whatever is carrying the pigment to your face. Okay? In retail makeup, it's going to have less pigment. In professional makeup, it is going to have more pigment. I'd rather have more pigment and do the application lighter and have that option than have to keep putting more layers on with retail makeup.
Got it.
So that is a real simple, I can sum that one up real quick. So, simple things like if you feel like you need a lot of coverage, professional makeup is always the way to go. More pigment, because then you could do the application lighter. You can spread pigment on your face. If you spread a makeup that has more vehicle, then it disappears. But if you spread a makeup that has more pigment, it's just a lighter application of pigment. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yes, that's a free tip, y'all. Free tip from SHASHANA.
Yes. Another easy tip is when you're trying to cover something up, like a blemish or a freckle or something you don't like, stipple, which is padding. Pat it on. Don't move it with your finger because it will never stay when you move it. Just pat it. That's the way you should always apply your makeup, is padding. And you'll get more coverage that way.
Okay.
Okay. Those are my makeup tips. Pat. Yes.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
See, so
we are,
I've always been a caregiver. Even as a makeup artist, you're a caregiver.
yeah,
So I'm just
it,
following the theme of my life.
it's in your nature
It is. It
and it
is.
was nurtured.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Thank God I went along with it with my mom. Yes. Yes. So PIFster is just another way for me to care for people. You know, just I'm caring for people who are caring for people.
Yeah. PIFster is your passion in your heart, but you still play around with makeup.
Yes. I'll always play around with makeup. I'm an
Okay.
artist. You know, I still paint. I still like it. My niece came out to
Hmm.
visit and she is an amazing artist. I mean, amazing artist. She draws.
Hmm.
And I said, "What do you want to do?" And she said, I want to go to the store and buy fake blood." And I was like, "Oh, wait, I don't want to take her down this road. I don't want to take her down this road." But we did. So I was showing her how to do wounds and things like that. And I had a blast. I had a, yeah, I'll always play. And all the kids in my neighborhood, I would have fake tattoo parties for them. Yeah, I love it.
Okay. Very fun.
Yes.
Very fun. All right. So, Shoshana, well, I mean, we do see app.pifster.org.
Yes.
That's the website.
Yes. So the
Okay.
website, you can also go to pifster.org to learn more about us. PIFster,
Mhm.
as in pay it forward, pifster.org, or become a PIFster at app.pifster.org. Yes. And we have
Okay.
a YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, all these social medias, all of those. You can find us at pifster.charity.
You're all there.
Yes. Please become a PIFster. Donate $1. It's your 25 cents a week, pocket change. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to work if we come together and do this. And I think it's a really good idea.
It's a great idea. And you know what? Why haven't I gone on there? I can give $1 a month.
$1 a month.
I need to get busy.
Get busy, girl. Yes.
All
And
right.
people can sponsor us. We also have gift certificates so people can buy other people a year's worth of being a PIFster for $12. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you give the gift of paying it forward, and it's something. It's really something because we are really helping people. Like we've bought a child medication that he needed for heart surgery. We have
Mm.
saved horses from going to the slaughter. We have helped veterans. I mean, I'm blown away. Every month when we get to pay it forward, I'm just
Hmm.
so blessed of the things that we've been able to do.
It's a genius idea. And I love the variety in terms of, how diverse and expansive your reach is and
Yes.
just the possibility for what
Yes.
it will be. Like,
Oh my gosh, I dream all the time of like a PIFster bus driving down the street and caring for the elderly,
hmm.
everywhere, not just in Los Angeles. I mean, we have helped the the horse that we rescued was in Kansas. The little boy that we rescued was in Oregon. We've helped people just all over Texas. We help veterans, get
Hmm.
therapy. I mean, oh my gosh. Yeah, all over our nation. But my dream is like, just a fund that can roll across our nation and help people all over so that these caregivers can focus on their caregiving.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Well, you're doing it and it's going to happen. So kudos to you and your
Thank you.
husband
Thank you.
for this
Thank you.
amazing venture.
Thank you. Let's
I
do
really, yeah, I appreciated you coming on, telling us about your makeup artist journey. I'm inspired to be a makeup artist.
it.
I'm not
No,
gonna,
that's what I tell. Just
but
play. Just play. Play with makeup. You'd be surprised at the different looks you can create for yourself.
listen, I still try to get that little winged eye thing and it doesn't work on me for nothing.
Take a tissue. I have a paper towel here. Put it at the end to the corner of your nose, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
then do your eyeliner from there. The end of the eye up and follow it. And I know it goes up, but when you open your eye, it's a wing.
Hmm.
Did you get that? Do you
Uh,
understand that?
yeah. I'm gonna
Corner.
do like,
Yep. And just that's it. That's how easy
but
that
my
is.
my eye is so small.
So like you just extend it out a little bit more. You can adjust you can go this way. You can adjust it out.
I'll
You never
try
want to
it.
go lower than your eyebrow.
I don't want to go lower than my
You
eyebrow.
don't ever want to go lower than your eyebrow. And you
Oh,
always
so
want
maybe
makeup going up.
So I'm
Yes.
not going high enough. All right. I'll try it. I'll try it again and I'll send you a picture.
Do. Yeah, I'll send you all kinds of tips. You know me. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, I guess we better wrap it up because we might
Really?
be
Do we
going
have
on
to?
it. We might be going on an hour. What else you got for me? You can talk a little bit longer.
I have lots of tips. Here's a good one. When you go to the store, to the pet store or to the big box stores, and they ask you if you want to round up your purchase to donate to the homeless, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because they have already made their donation and you are literally paying back the corporation for what they have donated and you don't get the tax deduction. Don't do
There
it.
you have it.
Yes. Yes. So that's one on nonprofits. Yes.
Okay.
Instead,
Yeah.
donate to PIFster. Take that change and donate it to PIFster.
Donate it to PIFster.
Okay. Yes.
Become a PIFster and pay
Yes.
it forward.
Yes. And as far as makeup stores go, you know, there are some good quality retail brands, but there are the makeup brands today, the ones that are professional at the professional store are normally made by makeup artists, and they're just great, so far superior than the products that are out there. I mean, I don't know. You know, at retail stores, first of all, Ron Lauder, Estee Lauder, buys up everything as soon as it becomes successful. And then he lessens the quality that's in it because he wants his flagship brand to be the best. Like, look what happened to MAC. MAC used to be a great makeup. And then Ron Lauder bought it, and now it's crap.
Well, so they did that to somebody else. Was it NYX or somebody?
Probably anybody that takes the shine away from Estee Lauder, Ron Lauder buys.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they lessen the quality. And when I mean lessen the quality, instead of using crushed pearls, they'll use crushed glass to create iridescence. I mean, really, instead of using rose water, then they'll use like some low-grade silicone, which is just a pore clogger. And it will cause you cystosis acne. Yeah.
You know, that's a trend because I don't know if are you familiar with that brand Siete? They have a whole Siete, and it's like they make so basically the story is somebody in the family had an allergy, couldn't have like gluten or something like that. I don't know. So they ended up using like corn or almond for everything. They would make these almond flour tortillas and stuff like that. You know, you get them in like specialty stores, so they're not cheap. And they were recently bought by Pepsi Cola.
See, yeah.
So now I'm like, yeah, I will not be buying that brand anymore because I already know what Pepsi Cola is going to do to mass distribute it and to make the profit that they want to make.
Yep.
So it's ruined now.
Yes. Yes. Well, see, and that's the problem with retail makeups. You know, they're going to give you the product that they can make the most money from. You know, but as a professional makeup, if your product doesn't work, then all the makeup artists are going to give you a really bad name and not use your product. And it won't survive amongst the professionals. So that's why I always say I like professional stores better. And there's, you know, Nigel's, Namies, they're pretty good, especially the people at Nigel's. They're just really good people who work there.
But your average person can't go in there. You have to be a professional makeup artist to get it, to access that stuff.
No, you don't. No, it's open. It's a retail store. Anyone can go in there. Anybody can go in there. And there's professional makeup artists that work the counter. Anybody can go in there. Yep. And if you're not from LA, what you can do is if you have a foundation color that matches your foundation, matches your skin tone, you can actually send them that foundation color, that foundation, and say, I need professional makeup that will match this color 100%. And they will find something that matches that color and send it to you.
Okay.
So if you're not in LA, you could still utilize their services. And you could tell them, look, my skin texture is rough, so I need something that's not thick. Or, you know, I only have $30, you know, and they'll send you something that's $28. I mean, they'll work with you. Yes.
Okay, I think I know what we need to do next time I'm in LA. We need to go to the makeup store, and then we need to go eat somewhere.
I love that. I love that. I'd love to spend time with you. I haven't seen you in a long, long time.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to plan that.
I would love that. Yes.
All right, don't get jealous, you guys, if you're listening. Okay.
We could do live video from the makeup store. We're here.
We could do live videos. And listen, so we'll bring you guys in. How about that? Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Oh, well, Shoshana, you are the queen of PIFster and all things lovely and good. Congratulations to you for being 2 years in on a really amazing, impactful movement and project with PIFster. That's really awesome. Right. Yeah. So you guys make sure you support $1 a month. Will go a long way. But we're going to have to wrap this up. I mean, you've been listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects, which is also a nonprofit organization. And we have been, I've been your host, Melissa Sharee. I've been talking to the one and only Shoshana. So find her at pifster.org. And until next week, we want you to keep creating.
Yes.
All right, y'all.